Hey, welcome to the Worry-Free Financial Podcast. My name is Eric Ebers, and my mission here is to help share information that will make finances worry-free for you. The format of what I go through is really just what's going on today that people need to be aware of, especially with everything going on related to COVID-19. And then I try to share a teaching moment of just something you should start doing, stop doing, and continue doing. So we're going to go ahead and just jump into this. Right now, we're continuing to see a lot of unemployment claims come in week to week. This week we saw an additional 3.2 million claims come in. That makes 33.5 million in just the last 7 weeks. Really what that means is now 1 in 5 people have filed for unemployment during that time. That is the highest since the Great Depression. The good news is that we are seeing a trend of a decline in weekly claims. So hopefully we'll start to level out. But we still may hit Great Depression unemployment rates before this is all said and done. As far as stimulus checks goes, if you have not received a stimulus check now, make sure you go to irs.gov/coronavirus to check your status. One of the things that's happened, quite a few different scenarios so far, is people are receiving a stimulus check for a deceased relative. If you received that, make sure that you don't spend it, and I would also look into seeing if you can send that back to the IRS, because they will most likely be coming for that. So do not spend that money that was sent to you by mistake, most likely. If you have federally backed student loans, I would suggest, if you still have steady income at this point in time, is to keep paying on those, or maybe even pay it down a little quicker. Right now you won't have interest charged on those, and so there won't be interest charged until September 30th. So that will allow you to make more progress in paying down those student loans quicker. So I would suggest continue to do that as long as you still have steady income. In terms of investing, I've said this the last several weeks, and I'm going to continue to say it, is keep doing what you've been doing for any of your retirement savings. Continue to have that long-term mindset. And even if you wanted to invest in some individual businesses, I would still keep that same mindset of you want to think long term. So I've held some different stocks for a while, and I've also purchased some new stock over the last couple of months. And a couple of my favorite companies that I've currently have holdings in is Zoom, which is an online conference call service. That's really been kind of up and coming. Probably most of you are now aware of it or have used it in some level, because that has been kind of quickly become the go-to source for team collaboration. You even see people doing Zoom happy hours and things like that. So probably a lot of you have seen that. Disney's been hit pretty hard with having obviously their parks, their cruise lines, things like that, and they're not even making money on Disney Plus at this point. So they've been hit pretty hard, but that's a company I have a lot of confidence in that they are going to have long-term value. So I recently purchased some stock there. Google is another company that I have some holdings in that I am continuing to hold. I think one of the things that I think is going to happen when this is all said and done is people will be utilizing technology, I think, a little bit more than they did in the past, and any of these big tech companies, I think, are going to be the beneficiaries of that. And another one I've had for a couple of years is PushPay, which is a church giving platform, and they've actually, just in the last couple of days, they've actually had about a 40% increase in their share price. If you think about, even a lot of churches have had a little bit of a decline in overall giving, but the main source of giving has quickly become online giving. And so if a church has been trying to get people to navigate from in-house giving to online giving, this has been something that's helped them really make some traction fast. So for these different stocks, I'm not necessarily saying that you should go buy them all right now. I bought into all these probably on average when they were 20 to 30% lower in their share price than they are today. But I am continuing to hold these because I do see long-term potential in them. But as you're considering different investments, if you're at a point where you're investing in individual companies, think long-term and strategize that way. In terms of housing, rent payments, we haven't heard final numbers yet, but we are expecting about a third or maybe even a little more of renters to not make payments on time or not at all in the month of May. And if you have a tenant, likely one of the best things you can do right now is to be flexible and work out some sort of a payment plan with them, and at least get some payment today. There are a lot of people that are struggling right now, and I'd rather have something than nothing if you're able to work out some sort of a plan. The state of New York is actually allowing renters to use their security deposit in lieu of payment. So that may be something that becomes more widespread as well. In terms of interest rates, right now is still a really good time for most people, I would say, to consider doing a refinance. So I would say if you have a good credit score and you believe you have good job security right now, it may be a good time to refinance. That is a case-by-case basis, but I would be happy. I'm a mortgage originator. I'll put my information out there, but I'd be happy to look out there for you and see if that makes sense for you right now to do a refinance to potentially save some money. So you can reach out to eric@ccm.loans. That information will be in the comments of the video, the description of the video. But that's what I have as far as things that are happening right now. In terms of things that I think you should do right now, I'm really going to focus on retirement today, and I'm going to focus on specifically on Chris Hogan. He has this book, Retire Inspired. It's a great book. He's a great speaker, very wise financial mentor, coach, teacher. So you can check out his website is chrishogan360.com. I'll be sharing a few things about that. But before I go into that, I'm just going to share a little bit. I haven't done this in I think this is the 7th week of the podcast, and I haven't shared this, but just a little bit of my background. So I am a CPA. My full-time job is I'm the business administrator at our church, and so my primary responsibility is overseeing the finances of the church. I'm also, as I mentioned, a licensed mortgage loan originator. So I do some mortgages on the side, and then really a passion of mine is financial coaching, and that I view, at least at this point, as just 100% a ministry that I just want to share information. There's a lot of people that can benefit from this, and I want to help people manage their finances better. So that's something I've done 100% for free. And I'm willing to do that. You can email at worryfreefinancial@gmail.com if you have questions. But that's really kind of my background. So I'm gonna actually just say really briefly the start, stop, and continue, and then I'm gonna go through some fundamentals that Chris Hogan laid out, and then kind of dig into those a little bit. So start investing in your future and start seeking help. I think investments is one of those areas, and I'm going to be talking about some other areas that I think are scary areas for people that maybe don't have a ton of confidence in these different areas. But I think investments is one of those. I think health insurance is another. I'll be talking about that a few weeks from now. But you need to, if you don't know what to do to invest, seek help. And I'd be more than willing. I can't, as a CPA, I can't give you specific, oh, you should definitely invest in this company or through this organization. But I can give you good, solid principles and point you in the right direction to help you build a plan. What you should stop doing is stop putting your retirement off or blindly shooting at some unknown target. So one of the things I hear often from people is that, oh, I'm putting, if you're one of the even smaller subset of populations that is actually putting something away for retirement, most people don't know if they're putting enough into retirement to actually meet their goals because they haven't necessarily created those goals. And so I hear people that say, oh, I'm putting a couple $100 into retirement, so I should be good. But I don't think they really know. They're just kind of blindly saying that. And so, I mean, just like a lot of times in terms of just leadership development, people set goals, and you really make that a specific, measurable, attainable, realistic goal with a timeline in mind. And a lot of people just don't apply that to their finances for some reason. So stop blindly shooting at that unknown target. Stop allowing barriers of debt, a lack of planning, and a lack of commitment from robbing your financial future. Continue to dream and continue to make tweaks to reach your goals. So I'm going to dive into the fundamentals now of what Chris Hogan says, and number one is you need to be dreaming. And I've shared a little bit about some of these over the last few weeks, but I'm just going to really dive into what he has to say here. I think it's really good stuff. But you need to put a dream out there. Dreaming's really an action. This is just straight from his book. You must be able to see your retirement dreams clearly, and you need to own them. Dreaming is the process of discovering or recovering the things you've always wanted to do. It is the want-tos of your life. You need to remind yourself of your dreams every day. So in terms of dreaming, like if you're thinking of what do I want to do when I retire 20, 30 years ago or from now, what does that look like? Do you want to travel? Do you want to enjoy hobbies of maybe golf, fishing, quilting, whatever that might be for you? Do you want to retire and just kind of live more of a quiet life and just spend time with family, grandkids? Do you want to be able to volunteer or choose to maybe even work really at your leisure? Do you want to be able to be a blessing to others? Maybe you want to run a dream business. And then the next question, once you kind of know what that looks like, is do these dreams cost more, less, or the same as what you have today? So really assessing like what are my costs today? Ideally, one of the costs that you won't have in retirement that you have today is if you have a mortgage. Hopefully you've paid that off by the time you retire, and that becomes a decrease from what your expenditures in retirement look like. So here's an example. Just if you had a dream, this isn't a retirement dream, but maybe it could be, but maybe more a specific dream for now. Like, oh, I want to go to Paris in a year. Okay. Well, Paris, there's a ton of things to do in Paris or in the surrounding regions there. So do you like to do art? Do you like art? Do you like sightseeing? Do you like maybe wine tasting? Do you have maybe a relative that died during the D-Day invasion? Those are different things that are going to influence how you plan for that and how you execute that. So maybe you've got the Eiffel Tower, you've got the Notre Dame Cathedral, you've got the Louvre, Champs-Élysées, you've got the Arc de Triomphe, all these various museums. You have Normandy if you did have a relative that passed away during D-Day. You've got to go see the American Cemetery. Maybe you want to go see Versailles. There's so much to do there. If you don't plan it out well, you're not going to meet that goal of what you really wanted to do. So that leads us to fundamental number 2 is planning. Chris Hogan says planning is the strategic process of figuring out how to achieve your goals, and that means you and your spouse need to have plenty of discussion, and if you're single, find an accountability partner, somebody that can help keep you on track. Let the plan be your GPS to get you to your retirement dream in style. A huge part of that plan will be your commitment to a budget. So one of the things that Chris Hogan is really big on is that retirement is not an age but a number. And again, this is the book. It's Retire Inspired. It's a great read. I'd encourage you to look into that. But he talks about something called the Retire Inspired Quotient or RIQ, and it's a tool to help you see where you are today, dream of where you want to go, and make a plan to get there. And so one of the things he talks about is that Social Security while most people, 2/3 of people almost solely rely on Social Security, it only replaces 40% of your income. So if that's your plan, you are in trouble. He actually says, well, most people have so little in retirement that a minor setback could completely empty their retirement. And his example is if a root canal can totally eliminate your retirement, you're in trouble. So you need to be planning for that, what that future looks like. If you want to check out what is your RIQ, your Retire Inspired Quotient, you can go to chrishogan360.com. I've done just my own analysis on that, and it works pretty well. It's pretty close to what I would calculate out as what I would need in retirement to meet my goals and my dreams. Right now, I would say that the general financial advisor is probably suggesting $1 million for your retirement if you're approaching retirement age now. For my generation, my guess is that advisors will suggest you be multimillionaires at retirement. And then once you know where you want to go, so in the example I gave is Paris, you have to plan out how you will make that happen, what you want to do, when you will do it, and how you will save money for it. And so that applies directly to your financial situation as well. Fundamental number 3 is execution. Execution means taking the right steps at the right time. It involves investing, budgeting, avoiding debt, communicating with your family, maintaining healthy relationships, and even continuing to dream, because those dreams will evolve. Your actions matter, and focused attention brings results. So you don't just come up with a plan, but now you've got to put it in action. Just like you don't say, I really want to go to get this degree in college without putting it into action. You have to determine which classes you need to take. You've got to come up with how am I going to come up with the finances to do it? You have to lay out that plan, and you have to be committed to it to make it happen. So you need to avoid debt. If you have to charge it, you can't afford it, is my mindset. And stop keeping up with the Joneses. You need to stay on top of a reasonable budget. You can't just have a budget. It has to be a budget that actually makes sense and allows you to reach your goals. And start investing. Have a plan and stick to it. Seek help if you don't know how to start, and make sure that you are always diversifying those investments. Fundamental number 4 is commitment. Commitment means embracing the sacrifices necessary to get you to your dream. It's the pledge to your spouse, your family, your community, your children, your grandchildren. It's a commitment that's the understanding that your health, wealth, work, and relationships are a blessing, and that you have to embrace the responsibility of leaving a legacy. One thing for me, I naturally am future looking, and so I can understand when I'm going to go spend something, and I'm hoping that this example will help you, that I can think of, well, what's the long-term implication of that? So an example is if you were to put $5 per day in investments versus spending it, that would be worth $100,000 over 20 years and $225,000 over 30 years. So just $5 a day can make a big difference. Small tweaks can lead to big peaks. So what small sacrifices could lead to your dream retirement? What changes can you make to save money? One of the things I think we've done really well at is making some sacrifices to prepare us for our future. We currently live off about 55% of our gross income. The other 45% we either are giving away, investing in our retirement, or investing for our son's college, or putting towards paying off our house early. And I would encourage anybody that's wanting to just learn to be content, is you've got to learn to be generous. And then fundamental number 5 is vigilance. Vigilance means knowing that stupid is always lurking around the corner. It's watching out for people trying to get you to invest in a risky, once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that will most likely leave you broke and embarrassed. It means that you will protect your retirement dreams, and that you will stay focused on preserving the blessings of the legacy you will leave. So I believe that if you follow these fundamentals, that you can be prepared for a life where you can retire inspired. As always, I'll have my information in there. You can reach out to me at worryfreefinancial@gmail.com for financial coaching, or eric@ccm.loans. and I will continue to bring these next week. And next week I'm excited because I'm talking about my favorite types of investments. So I will see you guys